Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your host, Kerrigan.
Wow. Here we are. Here we are again. Welcome to Witch Talk. This is an amazing thing because this is a show after an intermission that we did, a little vacation. We didn't had a show last week because I was on vacation, but we do have, and we're starting our shows again with an incredible guest today. She was here when we were doing this on Blog Talk Radio. We're doing it, and it's and we're doing it in a very, very special way because she will be on video. So that's why we actually are doing this on video, to have that possibility to do a video with the guest. If the guest comes and they wanted to do a video, here we are. We're going to do it. So, but before we go there, let me just tell you how you can contact us on Witch Talk. Here we go. So, you want to know how to keep in touch with everything Witch Talk? Go to www.witchtalkshow.com and follow all the latest news. Listen directly to the show and enjoy it. If you're on the move, take Witch Talk with you by subscribing to our Witch Talk podcast on iTunes or by following us on Buzzsprout Witch Talk site by going to witchtalkbuzzsprout.com. Don't forget to join us on Ustream Crowd. Go to www.ustream.tv/channel/witchtalk-show. Miss the show? Don't worry. Every show will be recorded and available for you to watch or listen both in Ustream and Buzzsprout. Witch Talk will air every Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time or approximately 9 p.m. in most Europe. Now, live in video, watch us on Ustream. Follow us on Twitter at Kerrigan, Kharagan, with an H after the K, or send us an email at witchtalkshow@gmail.com. Now, back to the show. And back to the show it is. Today we have with us an amazing woman on video for you. And if you are in the chat room, don't be shy. Just let us know what you want to know, and I'm sure that she will be more than happy to answer your questions. Now let's go to Witch Reads, because Indigo Estrella has today something very, very special to show us. Let's see. Witches Talk, about which books witches read. With Indigo Estrella. Witch Reads. Hello, Indigo.
Hello, Kerrigan. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. How was your vacation?
It was very good. It was very, very nice. I had a hot tub and a swimming pool, so I guess that's good, right? in the vacation. Are you there? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. So, and because I had a hot tub and a swimming pool, it was very, very good because, I keep switching from the hot tub to the swimming pool, so it was very, very cool. It was absolutely amazing. I just loved it. And, the scenery was wonderful. It was very relaxing. So I just loved it.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, you definitely deserve a vacation.
Well, I know. So tell me one thing. What are we looking at today?
Today we're looking at The Transparent Tarot by Emily Cardin.
Oh, okay. And this is a very special deck. We're actually looking at it right now. And this is from a video when Emily was here. And it's Jamal Di Fiosa. He's showing the Transparent Tarot for you. So what do you think about this?
Small. I thought it was very, very I mean, just like what Emily always does, she brings a whole new level of creativity to every project I've seen her do. It's very innovative, but yet it's extremely approachable too. And the symbolism on the cards, it's Rider-Waite, but it's very simplified so that you can use it in multiple ways. For example, you can layer the transparencies one on top of the other, and that gives a whole new meaning to the reading.
Yeah.
Whereas in traditional tarot decks, you'd have to lay them one next to each other and try to divine how they all tie together, you can lay these cards on top of each other, and it really paints a much clearer picture, and it adds a whole new definition to what it is that your inquiry was about. When I first got the deck, it needs to have some kind of like a first using instructions. I know you had to kind of walk me through it. The cards stick together, so you have to take the deck together and just kind of give it a little bit of a bend to kind of unstick the cards. Otherwise, you had to go through one by one and try peeling them. So I'm glad that you told me before, because I was actually starting to go through one by one and unpeel them. And, it kind of has this milky film on the deck. So I took some window cleaner to it. It doesn't affect the reading at all because it comes with this beautiful white cloth so that you can read it. But I'm a little bit meticulous about my cards. I want them to be clean when I first use them. So I took some window cleaner to it, and it's just a part of using plastic. And I think that they're really amazing.
You know, the good thing about this is that this is a completely new way of looking at tarot, because it's absolutely amazing how the layers go on top. I mean, it's incredible. The possibilities of this is just very, very interesting.
Not only can they go one on top of each other, but they're also layered. If you see on the video, there's a bar on the top, and there's different lines so that you can kind of layer it one on top of the other, so it can look like a film strip. So it can actually kind of tell a story through the reading. And I think that's also really amazing. It's so creative.
Is it difficult? I mean, because this is so innovative and this is so different. Do you think that this is difficult for someone that it's like, for instance, used to, doing a regular or doing regular readings to go from that to a completely different way of seeing things? I mean, is it difficult to adjust,
For me personally, no. I think it might depend on your personality type. There are some who think that this is the way it should be and you can't deviate from that at all. But I love the creativity, and it's not difficult for me at all to read these. In fact, for me, it fostered more of my creativity in order to read this deck. For example, on one of my spreads, I got the Empress card, and the Empress, it's much more simplified than the traditional Rider-Waite style. The Rider-Waite, it's usually the Empress is sitting on a throne. It's a woman who's pregnant, showing the fertile nature of the card. Yeah. But what Emily did is to simplify the cards, she created the Empress card as a hilly landscape, because in the booklet she says, she's the archetypical mother, the great goddess who loves and gives unconditionally to her children. The Empress is the womb from which we were born, the breast that gives forth our milk, the green fertile land that supports our every step. So that's for, as an example. So I had the Empress card, and then I had another card that had 2 figures on it, and I was able to layer it on top of each other, so it looked like they were toasting upwards. And then I also got the moon, or I'm sorry, this is the sun card, and they were toasting upwards towards the sun. So it actually painted a picture of, the 10 of cups, toasting upwards towards the sun on a hilly landscape. That's so much more in depth, and I can read it easier intuitively than with the traditional Rider-Waite style.
I would. It would be almost a challenge, but it would be very interesting to see how people, because the images are very interesting, and what people would, professional tarot readers would read like without knowing anything. You know what I mean? Just pick them up and just lay them down. And how would it be the reading? How would it be the experience? I would love to see someone try that.
I know, from what I've known of, all the Rider-Waite decks that I have, it doesn't deviate too much from the message of the Rider-Waite. Like if I were to see the Two of Swords, for example, it's still a figure sitting cross-legged with, a blindfold on, and it's, got two swords in either hand. That's very, you can tell that's the Two of Swords based on the Rider-Waite style.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's extremely simplified so that you can use it in a variety of ways. Now, this is my question. I'm curious. I know that you've used this deck, right?
Yeah.
Have you experienced any heightened creativity or more vivid visions and dreams after using this deck?
Yeah.
Because after using this deck, that's what I got. It kind of taps into that intuition, that creativity, that the subconscious in a way that I was able to kind of like reawaken that vivid vision, that quality that I think most people have, but in the daily routine might not be able to tap into it as often.
Wow, that's very interesting. So you had dreams?
Yeah, but it's much more vivid. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Even in daydreaming, it's much more,
That's very interesting. They're very
I find myself going towards much more, it's more of a heightened awareness of the visions, perhaps. And I didn't change anything in my routine this week, except using these cards.
Now tell me, how many cauldrons are we looking for here?
Okay, so this was a bit difficult because I know that in the past I've mentioned my distaste for the use of glitter and other non-natural sources.
Yes.
So I must touch it very quickly. This is plastic. It will outlive all of us.
Yes.
But that's the nature of these cards. So I can't take away any cauldron points for this because, first of all, you're not going to be burning it or throwing it into the wind for a spell. This is something that's innovative, and it probably will outlast me, so I'm probably going to end up giving this as a, to my children one day as, a hand-me-down, but it's I can't take away any kind of cauldron points for that because that is the nature of these cards. You can't have it be transparent without it being plastic. So I think I'm going to give it a 5 cauldron.
Oh, that's great.
It's amazing.
I know.
This 2 weeks,
I
got
know.
5. It never happens.
No. And I think that Emily is going to be very, very happy.
Well, she should be. It's an amazing work. And I remember when she was talking about this story, she was in deep sleep and she woke up shouting "Transparent Tarot" just out of the dream world. And you know what? This is definitely an act. It's definitely dreamy. The artwork it's a bunch of little dots, so you can see through it. But it's incredible. And the booklet is amazing too. It's very in-depth. It's detailed. The minor arcana is combined, so that the aces and the 2s and the 3s, which I prefer it because it shows the similar qualities of the suits. So the whole deck, it's worth the money. It's worth the investment. It's definitely something that I don't think is going to be staying on my shelf for too long. It's definitely just one of those decks that has a whole new quality to it, brings something completely new to the table, and I'm really excited to start using it more frequently.
It's very, very good. Now, this was an amazing review, Indigo. Absolutely amazing. I just love it. So, are you going to stay with us?
Yes, I will. I wouldn't miss this show.
Yes. We have a fantastic guest today.
Yes, I'm very excited.
She was here before, but this will be a complete new medium, especially because she will be on video, so it will be absolutely fantastic.
I'm so excited.
I know. So thank you so much for being here and for doing this fantastic review of the Transparent Tarot from Emily Cardin.
Thank you.
And 5 cauldrons, right?
Yes, 5 cauldrons.
Okay. Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks,
you.
Kerrigan.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. and that was Indigo Estrella with the Transparent Tarot of Emily Cardin. This is absolutely amazing because it's just one of those shows that I did with Emily, and she actually talked about a little bit how she did it and how she came about the thing, and how the Transparent Tarot came alive, which is absolutely amazing. Now we're going to introduce our guest today. And we're going to hear a little bit about her first, and then we'll begin with our introduction and all of that. So we're going to begin with the introduction. Here we go. Zsuzsanna Budapest was born in Budapest, Hungary during a big winter storm on January 30th in 1940. Her mother was a medium and a practicing witch who supported herself and her daughter with her art as a sculptress. The themes of her sculptures always celebrated the triple goddess, the fates, and Zsuzsanna Z grew up respecting and appreciating Mother Nature as a god. Z had led rituals, lectures, taught classes, given workshops, written articles tirelessly, and published in hundreds of women's newspapers across the country. She had powerfully influenced many of the future teachers and writers about the goddess. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome my guest today, the psychic, Wiccan, and author, Z Budapest. Hello, Z. How are you?
Hello, how you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. It's very, very exciting to have you here. First of all, because you are on video, and it's absolutely amazing because we never had that before. So here we are, which is Zsuzsanna Budapest on video directly on Witch Talk. Hi.
Blessings on everyone. Blessings, blessings, blessings.
So, how are you? Since we last did this first interview with you on Blog Talk Radio, I'm sure you did a ton of things, and so I want to hear everything about it. So, since the last time we spoke, what
When
happened?
was that?
Oh, it was a long
How
time
many
ago.
years ago was that?
I don't know. I don't even know. But it was, I know that you had a re-edition of a book that you have. And I know that you are going to be on Glastonbury's Goddess Conference.
At last, I'm making it there. I mean, can you imagine all this time I never went there? I mean, it's just insane.
It's amazing.
I met Kathy Joan in Budapest, and then I developed a desire to go. And and all those nice Welsh witches, that was a good contact, and we actually talked to each other and heard good stories. I said, I'm coming. Especially because my son is a pilot and I get discount tickets.
Oh, that's very good. That's very good. It's always handy.
I can fly on standby, and sometimes they bump me up to first class, and then I really feel that it was just Goddess hand in it.
Yes,
you know?
yes, very special, right? Very special. Now, this Goddess Conference, let me just put this on because I have it here. We can actually see the website. Yeah, we can. We're going to just reduce here. It's an amazing website. It has here. It's from Tuesday 26th to Sunday 31st of July, Yes, and it's absolutely amazing because he has like a lot of the program. There's a lot of ceremonies, things going on. I mean, it's absolutely gorgeous. What are you going to do there? Go ahead.
I'm introducing to the first time the Dianic Tradition there.
Mm-hmm.
They have never had a Dianic Tradition teacher, somebody who actually shows them, tells them what to do, and let them feel it, and let them be part of that. Because our women don't talk about it when they go home, and that's a good thing. So people imagine all kinds of things about a woman-only gathering. What sinister reason could there be that the women just want to worship the goddess and themselves? And there's nothing sinister behind it. It's a culture. It was alive very richly till the 4th century in Eleusis, Mediterranean.
Oh, here we go.
Blessed be Mediterraneans. It stood till the 4th century when the Christians actually razed it to the ground and burned it. And then if that wasn't enough to destroy a sort of like the capital of goddess culture, they strewn it with sod so nothing could grow there for a long time. Mm-hmm. And that's just, to me, that's just so evil, mm-hmm. to decide that the female deities have to be so eradicated that not even grass could grow on that spot. And so the women's mysteries had been silenced, our past had been stolen, and only by them, whoever were the minds, the evil minds who remove things from books, which you see now too, people mess with books, whatever is left in little snippets. And so Merlin Stone was called to collect it all and put it in a book for us. Merlin, who just passed away this year.
Yes.
And we have a Kickstart on merlinstone.net. Mm-hmm. We are raising funds so that we can collect her footsteps and move forward her work. The big book that we can thank a lot to, actually 2 books. One is When God Was a Woman.
Yes.
Which is still hotly contested by so-called
scholars, right?
Scholars. The word stuck in my throat because I don't think they are. They never leave their offices. They don't go dig. Yeah. They don't speak many languages to translate what they see. Merlin Stone went around the world and collected the goddess knowledge, whatever was left of it. And this is now attacked as, the women have an imaginary past. Amazon's never been. Goddess worship never been. Yeah, and what is the museums full of? It's all evidence. Everybody's museum has goddesses in it. Everybody's museum acknowledges we found these things. They are 25,000 years old. They are 85,000 years old. Pretty old goddess worship culture. But it did get eradicated. It did get wiped out. And it was because of the feminist movement that we dare to mention the fact that women are divine and we don't want to worship male gods anymore. And the male gods have not done what these religions are supposed to do, take the war out of humans. Mm-hmm. They're supposed to civilize everyone. They're supposed to church not just the women but the men as well. That never happened. The priests blessed the cannons. The priests blessed the bombs. The priests blessed the soldiers on both sides. It was like a football game. Okay, we destroyed that city, you destroyed that city, we killed that many civilians, women and children, I killed that many. And at the end, who won? Nobody can ever say. Yeah. Because after war, there is only famine and poverty and terrifically traumatized countries that I came out from, totally traumatized, not only by WW2, and even people were alive who were in WW1, but then a live revolution that was spontaneous that I have experienced in 1956. I was 16 years old, where from one day to the next, a revolution broke out. It always starts very mildly. Students leafleting. I was in middle school, and they said, we got permission for this. We can gather at the Ben Plaza. There'll be poetry read, and of course, at that time, we all thought, could there be boys as well? Because when you're a teenager and that's all it's an opportunity to mingle, because we were going to an all-women, all-girls middle school. Only in the universities are the genders mixed up. So we got there. It was pretty exciting seeing all the students and everybody joining our ranks. And we walked across the Margate Bridge and in front of the parliament, and they had only had like a red star, no Hungarian flag on the Hungarian parliament. Well, that gave us a few chants. And then we chanted and chanted until they unplugged the red star, and somebody put out an old little ragged, dusty from the corners Hungarian flag that quieted us down somewhat. But I've seen war. I've seen revolution. Yeah. I've seen, and I know the arguments for it. They always say, well, if we don't have a military and we don't develop our defense, then somebody else will attack us, and there we be with nothing to fight back with. Well, that's not a female gender plan. The female gender is females carry the message of peace. The reason in this culture an exposed female breast with nipples, yes, with a nipple, is called obscene. It is horrendous in the eyes of such men who, for example, feed us thousands and thousands of murders that we watch on television under the guise of entertainment. Mm-hmm. But those are just wars going on. WW2 has its own channel, for heaven's sakes. Hitler has got his own channel. I mean, my goddess, when is it going to end? Yeah. It outrages me that the churches side with wars on both sides. And so it has come to pass that the churches are losing total credibility. The Catholics are pedophiles. We are totally turned off from them, even though they saw the best of witchy stuff like the incense burner. All that comes from paganism, that Catholics didn't invent. Jesus didn't go around with an incense burner.
No.
Really, and stole our holidays. You know, what does the chicken and the egg got to do with Easter and the rising of Jesus? But it has everything to do with rising of Adonis, rising of all the male gods who we used to have, who die and then come back. And that was a story that they got from us, the natural cycles as they rise and fall. And all of this is now coming to consciousness. And the women, bless them, the women are still reading books. Do you realize that only 3% of people in this country read books?
That's amazing.
I mean, my God, that's only 3%. That's my market, you know.
3%.
That's my market. I mean, it's just ridiculous. I thought, if they're not going to read books, I'm going to get myself a couple of days and read them on video and talk to women and teach it to them, because it cannot be that they just watch iPods and other mechanical little gadgets. I celebrate them. I celebrate because it helps communicating with each other. I celebrate it also because in this sub-age of Aquarius, you see it very clearly how human beings became interested in human beings. We want to see reality shows where they are themselves. Of course, they cannot, because they don't know improvisation. So they, of course, have to be scripted. But we think that it's real. And so all this is happening for positive directions. And the war, oh goddess, please wind down the war. The men finally come to a point when they realize that when they come home, they're not pampered. Women are not throwing themselves at them. Oh, yes, you went, fought for us. There is no jobs for those poor guys whose lives are ruined, and they are affected. They are nervous. They have flashbacks. There is no money for them. I see them begging on the streets. So when are the men standing up and say, I'm not going to go to war no more. It's over. You know who got this message very well? The Dalai Lama. He said it decades now. He said, wars are obsolete. Yeah, but not true. As long as it makes money for the makers of weapons, makers of who promote wars, and all the little corruption jobs involved with it. And the taxpayers here are numb because we've been gotten by the pocketbook and we don't know how to take it back. The elections, the horrible war on women right now, taking away our rights that my generation have given our entire youth to win. I mean, imagine when I started at 30, I was a latecomer, 30 years, second destiny, feminism. You couldn't get a credit card if you were a female. You couldn't buy a house because you had no credit. That was just yesterday, as far as I'm concerned, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
And we pulled our sex up to a certain degree, but now it's up to them. The second wave aged out. I am still stomping, and I will till my last breath. I won't let go of this. But, you know, the political witchcraft is really the new thing in witchcraft. The awakening of the witches, when the costumes are not all that much important, but the purpose and the intention you hold is. And bad-mouthing each other is really not important. And attacking the woman's mysteries because there are no men in it is not important. Can you imagine what I have to deal with?
Oh, my.
Men in it, they have everything. We have just this one little tradition that's just ours.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I'm under pressure, and
I'm sure that it's, you know, sometimes it's very difficult. It's really difficult. Now, tell me one thing, and let's speak of very beautiful things. Let's speak about this fantastic woman that was a sculptor that actually inspired you.
Mama,
to become who you are. Yes.
My mother.
Yes.
My mother, the unconscious feminist.
Yes.
She was not aware that she was a feminist, but all she did was creating altars to pray in front. And the altars were all the Madonna and the child. And to her, that was humanity. The Madonna and the child is us. The women and their children. That includes everybody.
Yes.
And so she passed away in 1979, and when she had an incredible amount of work, and she donated it to a tiny little dusty little peasant town, Zeldemerk, in Hungary, Western Hungary. And they didn't know what to do with it. There was a communist person who mother could befriend anybody. And he promised her a standard exhibition place where her stuff would be exhibited no matter what. New regime, there was some sex scandal, the old commie went down, the new commie rose. He didn't want to hear anything about it. It costs money. Why do we need art? Blah, blah, blah. He went down, new regime. Well, I'm going to Hungary at the beginning of August, and I wanted to go there and video her works. And guess what? They did give her the permanent display. It's on their website. We found it. So we're going to go there and have great video orgasms all over her beautiful statues. which are, you know, what you can do with a video, you can circle something, you can embrace something, you can zoom in and love on it. So we have our plans, and then we bring that home. But I was so pleasantly impressed that finally Zeldemerk grew up out of the dusty consciousness they had that only potatoes mattered, and now they are appreciating my mother's art. So, and it hasn't been lost, which I was worried about.
That's absolutely amazing. I'm very happy to hear that, because I didn't know. This is a story, this is news, right? We didn't know this. We didn't know.
I did not. It was just 2 days ago that we found out. Bobby was searching everywhere, and I just wanted to send an email to this place asking permission to see, even if it's all wrapped up in a corner. Mm-hmm. And then we found the web page, and there she was already displayed. So I'm deeply happy about that. Deeply, deeply, deeply happy.
That's amazing. Amazing. I just love, I think that it's here. Gallery of Art. It's this. This is your mother. Let me just show people this fantastic art.
All right.
It's absolutely amazing. And maybe you can, talk a little bit about them.
Yeah.
No, how was this? I mean, how did you watch her when you were a little girl
Yes.
doing these absolutely amazing, artworks? I mean, how was it? I'm looking at the Goddess Rising, which is something
Yes.
from 1970. It's the female principle is rising out of the circle of life. Now, it's absolutely amazing. I just love this, and I'm so happy
Yeah.
that they gave her
Yes.
place.
Her work was always simple, abstract, yet folk artish. Now, that was her great genius, that she helped to she was impressed by folk art, then she filtered it and projected out, and it became a little bit abstract, but everybody could still recognize the folk motifs in it. Peasants came, and she had the Pagan Temple exhibit in 1977 in Budapest. The little horse-drawn carriages pulled up in front of the big museum, bent the horses. Little babushkas ladies got out of the carriage, and they all came, and then they brought flowers, and they put flowers at the feet of the goddess. They put flowers at the statues that they really resonated with, and the guards looked away. It's not allowed to leave flowers, at statues, but they knew it was a temple, it was sacred art.
Yes.
And they understood that, and they brought flowers from their home to make the connection between that vibration and their own lives. That's what we lived from. My mother made home altars for anybody, but the peasants were very much into it because they had always a clean room in their house which they opened up when they had weddings or christenings or a very important birthday, for gatherings, or if they had something private to discuss with the goddess. Then they closed the door behind them, and they were alone, confronting Mother's sacred art. They lit their candles, and they prayed. And they prayed as long as they wanted to, and then they put it out. These were the private prayers, the ones that were right there in their home. Hungarian peasants liked to bring spirituality into the house. They didn't so much go to church, which they do now. Since the communists are gone, the churches have changed, and they go there too. But it's still happening, this home altar and private prayers. To me, what I saw my mother always do is get up in the morning, not get dressed. She would be in her pajamas. Then she would look around in her studio and see something that's not finished. She would think about it. To start up her juices, she would start painting something. And instead of using something like paper or a rag to clean her brush, she would just go on her butt. just swipe it on her butt. So at the end of the session, she got the greatest paintings on her butt.
That's amazing.
And they never came out because they were oil-based. So eventually, her pajamas went into just work clothes and.
No, I'm looking at Zsuzsanna. I'm looking at Dianic Tradition, which is absolutely gorgeous.
Can you imagine? Where groups in the mountains.
How big is this? I mean, is this small? Tell me.
No, it's not. It's not. No, it's taller than me. I'm 5'5". It's taller than me.
Wow.
It's a half a head taller than me. She makes them in small, like a sketch. The artist makes a sketch.
Yes.
She makes a small statue called maquette, and then following that, she builds the big one.
Oh, okay.
And they usually, when it's very big, they do it in sections.
Yes. You're telling us about, the mountains, people in the mountains. What was it about? Go on.
Back in the days, which I have not really witnessed, I was born right smack into the WW2 war. Mm-hmm. But I know on the countryside, there were totem poles erected, and they stayed, testifying to that particular area was used by that particular group from the nearby town, usually. And they gathered there, and they made fire. And there was spell casting mostly. There was evocation to the moon. They usually were full moons. And the spell casting was a lot to do with jumping fire. Whatever it was they wished for, they jumped the fire for it. Or if they wished for something real bad, then they also spit in the fire that sort of sizzled. And that was their DNA offering it to the goddess of fire, because they were poor and what they got is very little. These totem poles then during the war disappeared because some of them were made of wood, and we used to make fires at home. They're war again, don't wait. That's how I have to deal with it. I just have to drive them away. Anyway, yes, that was, those are the chakras. You can see how each chakra is indicated.
Yes, yes.
And they were aware of that, and they did breath sweeps when they breathed into each of these chakras 7 times for the moon. And that's what prepared them for sacred work. They sang a lot of folk songs. And there was a lot of love magic. Love magic when lovers holding hands together jump the fire.
That's amazing.
And also standing around singing a song and putting each other's names into it. So whoever used somebody else's name, you could tell, oh, she's sweet on him, or oh, he's sweet on her. Peasants were only interested in those things that were sweet on something, sweet on each other, sweet on the food, sweet on the bread. And even to this day, August 20th is the biggest holiday in Hungary. We put out on crossroads little tables, a nice embroidered cloth, on it fresh baked bread and the fresh new wine. And anyone who wants to have a sip or a little bit of bread is welcome. It's the goddess's table and all welcome. Usually people don't touch it. They just sort of worship it from afar. They don't want to disturb the nice arrangement. But the rest of the country shuts down for 4 days, and it's the ascension of Virgo. It's also a national holiday with a mythology. Supposedly, our very first king, Stephen, who used to be a pagan boy like everybody else, and had to be Christianized because the Pope would not give us a crown. And if you didn't have a crown, you didn't have a king. And we were in Europe now, not in Asia. It mattered. So what he did very cleverly, his very first act as king, he offered the country up to the Boldogasszony, whose name is Glad Woman, or the great goddess in our language.
Yes.
And supposedly his right hand accidentally touched the hem of the Queen of Heaven and became immortal. And we have this hand. And they carried it around in a box, in a see-through glass box on the 20th. And we can all look and awe about it because it's pretty old now. It's like 2,000 years old or something. And it's an old pruny hand. It's still there. We don't really know if it was the king's hand or not. So much time went by. So many other things happened. So we don't know. But we think it is.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Everybody's out with flowers, waving flowers and celebrating that we belong to the goddess, not to any male god. We belong to the mother of God. And that's very important. That's part of Hungarianness.
Now, I'm looking at the triple goddess, and you have more than one in here of your mother's culture. But this is my favorite, I have to confess to you.
Which one is it?
It's the one, it's from 1970 also, but it's the Holy of Holies. It's a centerpiece, and it's very interesting because I immediately knew there's this scissors here, and then there is this, so I think that these are the fates, and it says here, together they are the fates. Yes, and I immediately identify it. So it's absolutely amazing. It's a beautiful piece. And it's absolutely gorgeous.
Oh, because what she was working, I said, Mom, nothing has color anymore? She says, well, I'm working now with lights and shadows. The way the shadows play on that piece, which I have in my bedroom, by the way, is different hour by hour. So it gives you the transiency of life and the rebirth of life, constantly going back from the goddess of death to the goddess of beginning the thread.
Yes.
the start of the thread. And she said, if I don't give it to you now, you'll never see it again, because everything else was carted off to the museum for her first showing. And she was right. I would have never seen it. It would be in Zeldenberg now, and I would have to make a pilgrimage to see it, but she gave it to me.
It's a wonderful, wonderful thing. Now, let's talk about your books, because I want to talk about your books. It's important for us to talk about your books. You have this absolutely amazing collection of books that you put out. But there are, for instance, you have The Woman's Mysteries, which is an amazing book. And it's, some of your books are classics now, Z. They turned into classics, right? And you just did
an antique now. I'm an antique. You're talking to an antique person now.
No. I'm talking to an elder of the craft. That's what I'm talking to. And so now you have re-edited this Grandmother Moon, which is one of your absolutely amazing.
I'd like to put it up, if I may.
Yes, absolutely. Show it.
Can you see it? Can you zoom in?
I'm showing on right beside you your
yes,
video. There is a big photograph of the book, so we don't need to zoom in, but you can just refer to it. Yeah.
Yes. Grandmother Moon is the book that resonates with young people the most.
Yes.
And we have rewritten it a little bit, added on bathing rituals, because that's a very easy, everybody has to bathe. So, turn it into a form of worship, of water and sense and tending your consciousness. Otherwise, it's all about feelings. And I really created a way to deal with feelings, how to influence our brains, because the feelings come from thoughts. Thoughts are created by our brains. So you have one chance before you have the feeling, is to allow the thought to continue and flourish, or say not this time and think of something else. That's one way to avoid, for example, getting depressed all the time. If you know depression is coming, you have another thought, make another thought, it's going to be another feeling. So feelings come and go. It's many times women think that, I'm always feeling this way or that. No, you don't. If you really observe yourself, you have many feelings, many thoughts in a daytime. If you return to the same thoughts over and over again, it actually creates a physical track in the brain. It's a physical connection that would be like the well-trodden path. And when you go near that thought, the brain already knows where you're going. They click in the well-trodden path, which leads you down into depression and who knows where. So this is one chance we have, but then we also have chances to lift ourselves out of envy, lift ourselves out of hate, lift ourselves out of any negative emotion with spells. These spells are simple. They have a little poem in it, and I explain why is this and why is that, so that your brain feels totally justified to follow it. And it's not irrational at all. It's just unusual. There is no reason to be bummers all the time.
No, absolutely. Now, tell me one thing. This book was, obviously it's about the goddess and about water and about the moon and how the moon, influenced the water and how can we enhance our lives and all that. But the thing is that can man benefit from this, do you think?
Of course. We are all children of the moon and the earth. And, we are one species. The way I look at the gender, saying, men are not from Mars. Men come out from between our legs. That's where they come from.
Exactly.
Women are not from Venus. They also come out from their mother's legs.
Yes.
So where we come from is each other.
Yes.
We come from each other.
Yes.
And each has a part. Mothers have a bigger part. As a primary sex, we create the same and the slightly different. I see men as variations on the female. I don't see them, difference, viva la difference. Not much difference, not really. There's a lot of political differences, a lot of income differences, but as an organic being, we are one species. That's the agreement we made with each other. We're going to have two sexes each species have an agreement how they're going to propagate. Yeah. The fish are very impersonal. Hey, I put my eggs over there. Would you gentlemen kindly walk over and spray something on it? and the fish goes and obliges, and voila, little fishes happen. Yeah. There are certain sea creatures that come out only once a year on the shore to mate. Yeah. That's sort of like a hard thing to do because everybody knows about it, and they are all catching them and harming them. Yes. But not in Berkeley. Berkeley, be shut down cross street because newts are crossing. The newts are breeding, and Berkeley shuts down the road because it's just terrible to watch them destroyed by cars because all they want to do is propagate themselves. And somehow it reached City Hall, and they said, no, humans can drive some other way. Anyway, let me just look at my notes here, darling.
Go ahead.
Okay, I want to have a big shout out to all of those people who tuned in here because of Roseanne Barr, my good friend Roseanne Barr. She tweeted it out to all her friends to come and join. So it's a big shout out. Thank you, Roseanne. I truly appreciate your help. And she has a new show coming on Lifetime. I think it's called Roseannistan. And I think she would be a better pundit than anybody up there. She's funny and very political.
Yes.
So that's a thank you for my new friends. A Glastonbury conference, we have mentioned that. Merlin Stone Memorial is on the 24th of September. Merlin was a Floridian. Yeah. And go there. And it's going to be Clearwater, Florida. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. In a Unitarian church, beautiful, beautiful Unitarian church, and all the great feminists who can will be there. Otherwise, we will have video clips from them as they address Merlin Stone's effect on them. When God Was a Woman turned everybody on. I wrote a great book for those who were already spiritual, the Holy Book of Women's Mysteries. But Merlin wrote the past. Here is the past they took away from us. This is the past that you should be proud of. This is who we used to be. It doesn't matter how long ago, it can happen again. So that was a good one.
Let me just clarify about Merlin, because some people don't really I don't know, but we have so many people listening, and some of them don't really know who I can't believe that people don't know who Merlin was, but sometimes they don't. So let me just clarify that Merlin Stone was a wonderful sculptured artist and historian and professor of art and history of art, and yes. She wrote this fantastic book called When God Was a Woman in 1976, and very curious because this thing was actually an amazing thing that it was published in the UK under another name.
Paradise.
Exactly, the suppression of women's rights, and it's absolutely amazing. And then you have the translation in Canadian French, which is Quand Dieu était femme, and it's absolutely amazing too. And this was 78 to 89. Now, this work is it's a classic. It's a classic.
It is a classic. And it is what they envy us most for, because now we have proof. It's not just we made this all up, that women.
I'm showing the book, Z. I'm showing the book. Yeah.
And the Ancient Mirrors of Womanhood is what didn't get into the first book. She made another one, and that's full of her sacred poetry. Yeah. She described herself, she was a sacred scribe. Like there is sacred art of my mother, she was a sacred scribe. Yes. That was actually a profession in antiquity, collecting sacred songs, things used in worship, images, anything concerning the inner life, they would be the ones to turn to for songs and poetry and words, and also images. And she was led to collect the culture through having been an artist, and we can see her art slowly as she sniffs around the ancient art of Willendorf and the good old 25,000 years ago stuff. and her own art started changing into the Trinities, and then she said, okay, I have to find this. And then she put down her, actually, she was working in metals, so she put down her torch. She used to just fuse things together, and went on this few years of wondering about collecting stuff, and then no American publisher would touch it. So she went with the English, and then blah, 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 blah. It came home. The book came home, and it's in a very good place now, Beacon. That's a good place for it.
Yeah. Now, let me just remind again, people, we have Merlin Stone Memorial September 24th, and this is a benefit memorial celebration for Merlin Stone September 24th, 2011, from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. in the Unitarian Universalist of Clearwater, and this is 2470 Nursery Road, Clearwater, Florida, and it's an absolutely, I mean, if you're there, or if you want or wish to go to pay homage to this absolutely amazing woman, you can. So
and the church we rented for her is top of the line. All kinds of machinery are already installed. It'd be easy to stream out the memorial. I will have a lot of music. I will have a lot of celebration. We solemnize at the beginning, of course, because death is death. You have to acknowledge it. Yes. And then we go into the second half, when the grieving people will remember the good times and share with us stories. Not all of them will speak because there'll be too many of them. We are directing them into private little video areas where they can finish at length, at their leisure, the entire story, and then we intersperse everything with Hecate's real music, Ruth Barrett's music, and at the end we have a goddess rock and roll band, Flash, Silver Moon, is that her name? Anyway, Flash is there with her band, and she's there. We celebrate and dance her joy because she's in a good place.
That's wonderful.
What let me just put something out here.
Go ahead.
That you say I'm an elder, and I am. But when I look at the elders, they seem to die alone, forgotten, and I think that's not right. That's just not right. That could be. So I decided there will be memorials for the great souls, and we remember also those there who are still standing. Because I don't think I can do this for every one of them who dies. But every so often we should have a big collective coming together and solemnize who passed away and celebrate and remember, because what is remembered lives. That's my motto.
Yes.
What is remembered lives.
That's absolutely true, yes.
And the third part is a feast and a rock and roll band. And do come, donate on the Kickstart. If we don't reach our $5,000 limit, we lose all of it that's there already. So please make sure that we do get it. It would be a big blow to me if I Kickstart. It's such a measly small amount, $5,000,
Oh, it is.
It has to go in there. And right now it's mostly it's mostly our private money. Mm-hmm. Let me just check here what I didn't do that. I am on Twitter. I may be an old person, but I'm on Twitter.
I know. That's well. What does that have to do with being? Well, first of all, you're not old. You're wiser.
I want to say I'm old and happy.
Yes. Okay. That's good. Okay. And what is this Twitter? Because we want to follow you.
Please, Z Budapest, my name.
Okay, and everything without even a little dot, anything. It's just Z Budapest, everything together, right?
Yes, please.
Okay.
And then on YouTube, same thing, Z Budapest. I'm going to make a lot of little YouTube segments. And I have a deep, deep desire to talk about something that Bobby even doesn't know, and she didn't write it up for me to remember, but I really want to, because you have so many listeners, many good and creative listeners. I'm looking for a crew that could work with me on an animation project for YouTube. Mm-hmm. I have a satirical cartoon. I'm just building it. I'm creating episodes, but I cannot draw. I cannot do animation. Animation is a collaborative art form, and I'm looking for my crew. Please, if you can possibly get excited about this, I let you know all the rest in private. It is protected. I could actually say the name. Could I say the name? No, I'm not.
No, you can't. You're forbidden.
No.
Well, but it's a project that you can now do the appeal to people out there, artists, that could form this fantastic crew with Z.
For a daughter of an artist, I don't have artist friends. What is that? I should be teaming with artists of all kinds.
Yes.
And artists sort of knowing each other. And I need animators who can create a good cartoon with me, a bite, satirical content, and very, very personable, affable characters.
Now, Z, tell me. Let me just tell you this. Sometimes we are, and people say this all the time. It's horrible because internet can go to very dark places, and it's true. But this is the beauty of it. You can actually appeal to your crew. You can actually be followed by people on Twitter, and you can actually work with your team, even if your team is one in UK, one in Hungary, one in France, one here and one there. You could be a team that it's a world team, and it's wonderful, and all this technology is a blessing, I guess.
I do too. You see, that's part of this sub-age of Aquarius.
Yes.
You look back on this many years from now, and you will say, oh, like we look back on the wall phone, the actual wall phone, that hung on the wall.
Yes,
I used that. Yeah. And the big advancement was that you got a longer twirly thing that could stretch into the other room. That was big advancement.
Now,
the whiteout. Let's not forget the mirror.
I want to talk about. I want also to talk about. I want also to talk about about your goddess kits. It's very important. It's something that you put up.
Yes.
And it's a woman honoring series of social discussion and education.
Slowly.
Right. And tell me about
this. It is.
Tell me about the goddess kids.
Yes, I'm just looking.
Oh, go ahead. Take your time.
Goddesskids.com is quite.
Yeah.
Yeah, DVDs for group work.
Okay.
So if you have a few friends and you get one of these, we give you a clip. I used to have my own TV show back in the 80s, late 70s, mid 7 years. And I had all kinds of people like Starhawk and the rest of them. We discussed topics of that day. But when you look at it today, you realize that those topics are still there. Those still need more thinking, still need more mulling. The new generation has to think about them. And another twirl, another twist needs to be happening. So we were hoping that it stimulates group discussion. And they would see something 20 years ago, how it was, and boom, it's still so. What does that mean? And it's, we just done a couple of these. We connect them with high tea, which is high tea. So we serve very fine tea from very fine cups, very delicate cups. Yes. And very fine dessert going on and all that to stimulate the brain into thinking. And we show our video, and then it just blows. It just blows up. Women are hungry to gather again, not just in festivals, but it costs them a lot of money to get in, and the discussion, the one-on-one discussion, the consciousness raising must come back. I don't know how to stress this any stronger, but that was how we found out our womanhood. How did you grow up as a female? How was your childhood? What happened when you got your period? What happened with the boyfriend? And listening to each other's diverse stories, realizing that in this world, you may have a PhD or you may not, but we're just walking on the street and we are seen as females. We are seen as women. So that part of examination is missing now. We got so caught up of everybody's the same. Oh, it doesn't matter anymore. Yes, it does. Especially it matters if you yourself are not female identified. That is the worst thing that can happen when a woman loses her center. her female center, when she doesn't respect it, that's where all the problem comes about. Eating disorders and the weight problems, the body image, all that big bag of bummers come from not being female identified. And that only happens when you hear other women and you say, gee, all different stories, but yet it's the same story. What do you know about that? It just blows your mind, and everybody changed. And these groups sometimes went on for 3 months, minimum 3 months, but then some went on for years if they really got along. And I was thinking to talk Bobby into setting it up from the internet, because now we can arrange it so people who don't know each other, but they know us, we can say, all right, let's have a trial meeting at this cafe and see if you should have at least 4 or 5 people minimum, and not more than 13. Yeah. But I recommend this to men as well. Yes. I really do. I think men should get together with each other, regardless of sexual orientation, shouldn't matter at all, and just talk about what does it mean to be a man? I have 2 sons and a grandson, so, I'm pretty close to this topic.
Yes.
So
let me just tell people, the different DVDs that you have. You have one that it's called Sex and Goddess, right? And then you have the one that it's only called The Goddess, and then you have another one called Woman Spirituality Movement, and that's the 3 DVDs that people can actually buy directly from CreateSpace if they want to. So just go onto Z webpage. You can access from there, or if you want to go directly, you can go on by going on goddesskits.com, and that's goddesskits.com, and you can just see it there. Just scroll down, as Z says in the website, scroll down, and you can just click on the buy now. So we're showing it, Z, right now, so people can see it.
I'm so grateful to you that you keep my financial interest also in mind, and I don't have to hawk my stuff quite as hard. Well, truly, it's elegant.
Your stuff is wonderful. Why wouldn't we talk about it? It's absolutely amazing. Now, I
don't think anybody else is working this best right now.
Well, let me just ask you a question. There are 2 questions in the chat room from people.
Great.
Okay. Z, what would you say to the people who feel the triple goddess archetypes been holding the goddesses? For example, Hecate being called a crone when she traditionally was more often called a maiden. And of women who can't identify with the aspect of the mother due to choice or by choice or infertility. So what are your visions of this? What do you think?
Well, if you are scientifically inclined, I would relate to Athena, who is actually an African goddess. She traveled to all those other countries and finally ended up in Greece. Athena invented all the sciences, invented the wheel. She's a master weaver, master artist, singing. Athena is cities and intelligence and a smart girl. And I would choose her if you are on that bend. Otherwise, it doesn't matter if you are mother yourself or not. You mother your plants, you mother your pets, you mother the people around you. There's a lot of mother stuff comes out of women who don't have children per se. But here is the goddess who doesn't have children. Now, actually, I was going to say Hestia, but I'm not sure. Suddenly I got gripped by insecurity. Is this true? Do you know? I think Hestia just loves her home, and she's a fire goddess. Yes. Vesta has no children. Vesta is definitely a devotional personality who enjoys a spiritual lifestyle, and they had high status till the last minute of whatever's left of our culture. They had front seats at the Olympics, a very early Olympics. No women were allowed to come, but the Vesta virgins had their own booth. So that was interesting.
That's very nice.
What
about Hecate being, called so many times. I mean, people sometimes called her a crone. It's the crone. It's the crone. The crone is Hecate. Hecate is the crone. Well, she actually was originally a maiden. She was not really originally a crone.
She is born. She's the priestess of the earth.
Yes.
She sees three ways. That's why three forms. That is another of her name, because she sees the past, the present, and the future. All you tarot readers are getting your inspiration from the goddess who can see three ways. And everybody who wants a spell in protection or some really specific heavy spell against a very big odd should turn to her, because she is the crossroads, and she tells you go this way, that way, and she makes spells come true. Lady Medea, Queen Medea, who I taken my name from, Medea simply means medicine woman, but this particular Medea was a queen of Colchis, which is now Bulgaria, and she used to stand up in a boat and call on Hecate on the water, and she would not sit down till she heard the thunder answering, and then she said, it's done, and then she would sit down, and she would raise storms to scatter ships that were chasing her. Robert Graves wrote about Medea. If you are into Robert Graves as I am, I think that was the first feminist writer who has had a very direct line to the goddess's ear and face.
Actually, Marilyn Stone, not we're talking about Robert Graves.
Yes.
Marilyn Stone, and also, she draw this when the god was a woman, for as much information as she could from Margaret Mondry and from Robert Graves. So if you read Robert Graves, you will see a lot of inspiration on When God Was a Woman by Marilyn Stone.
And how men organically belong in the goddess worship, how they organically belong. They are not from Mars or another species, They just, when women say, I don't know where he comes from, I don't understand him. That is culture. That is how he was entitled and cultured. Normally, men have to be taught to be mean. They're not mean. I raise little boys, they're not mean. They little, Spitfire, my mother used to say. You got Spitfire boys. That's good.
Another question. Another question from the chat room, Z. When there's a listener who says, we have a generation of men being raised primarily by women. My own son included, so I'm assuming that obviously this is a woman. What effect do you feel that has on our society today, Z?
Not enough. Because you may be a feminist raising a child like I have, and when they go to school around 6 years old, by 7, they know where the power is. And they also know that they could be part of that powerful powerful caste. And when they find that out, they are no longer, and they are teased if they are mama's boys. So the culture and peer pressure goes into their little psyches as they are formed. And for survival's sakes, they have to be belonging with the men. And I understood that. I mourned it, but I understood that I didn't want them to be beaten up and ostracized and bullied for being mama's boys. And I said, I don't care. Just say whatever is survival for you. Do not worry about me. My feelings will never be hurt. I know you love me, but you can say anything about me. You can make faces. It is not going to bother me because I know you do it to survive. And that's your job, to survive as my child as long as you can. Mm-hmm. That's my opinion about it. It is unfortunate.
It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. Yeah.
Excuse me, I'm going to have to
go ahead. No, it's very unfortunate that we have to do that and that we have to allow, those things to actually interfere. But unfortunately, we do live like that. I mean, it's the society. It's the group.
Every mother, Yes, every mother would relinquish in order to save the child. And that is not betrayal. That's how mothers put themselves second. Yeah. And in their case, they did come back to me. When they are in teenage, then they are very proud of you, especially if you kept yourself good looking. They would forbid me to pick me up at school when I was a miniskirted hippie girl. But then 2 years later, Mama, please come all the way to the door and please wear your miniskirt. So that changed. And then when they first start dating, they are proudly introducing the girl, and because the girls were all feminists that they were dating. They didn't go for the old-fashioned girl who was had no opinion and wanted to just be a servant. Yes, sir. They hated that. They would even say that, oh, she just agrees with everything I say. I'm not going to date her anymore. I mean, that is a natural reaction from normal people.
Yeah, I know.
Who wants to be surrounded by and boring people? So that, and then of course the military was another way.
Yeah. Now, Z, let me talk
I'm
about...
not going into that, don't worry.
No, it's fine. I just wanted to tell you about, all of you, about Grandmother Moon. This is a new revised edition. It's back in print right now. You can get it from Z's website at zbudapest.com / grandmother-moon. And the amazing thing about this book is that you can get it on Kindle, which is absolutely amazing. So, okay, you can get it on Kindle. You can go to this page of zbudapest.com, and then you can get to the Grandmother Moon, and then you can actually either buy the paperback book or get to the Kindle download, and you can just read it at your own leisure. It's absolutely amazing, and bring it everywhere. Now it's the beach, right? People can go to the beach. They can read it.
Yes, goddess black technology. Great Athena has invented something new. Yay!
Absolutely. For us to actually, have this wonderful time with Z, new revised edition of Grandmother Moon, which is absolutely amazing. Now, what are you going to do in this in the Goddess Conference? You're going to talk about Dianic Wicca. You're going to do workshops. What is going to happen?
First, they have like the fringe programs that can precede the actual festival. Mm-hmm. So on the 25th, I'm going to have 4.5 hours in which whoever shows up, I shall teach them Dianic techniques, Dianic circles, and then the last part of it, we actually have a circle to Sedna, the goddess of the deep. She is an Eskimo goddess, and the whole conference is devoted to water this year. And there will be purification with the sacred waters they have there in their sacred well that we have to go and fetch. And a lot of my work hangs on a structure, but it's improvised. I am a child of improvisation. I studied Second City when I was in Chicago, and I have lots of techniques that bring out the utterances, the spontaneous utterances, which are always sacred. Remember those? Absolutely. Spontaneous utterances are spells and blessings, and this incredible power of blessings can be found in all women, even those who have never done a circle before, because it's all natural. There's nothing weird about it. And there is a sacredness to see all women, there is a feeling to that. In California, we often take our clothes off, because once you take your sanctuary off, which are our clothes, you really see the gender, the pure female gender, the humans. You see the humans in all of our variety, and in all of our motherliness or maidenness or none of the above, to really understand that you are not isolated, and this idea that we're individuals is true to a certain degree, but ultimately we are part of a gender, both sides. And may I say, it isn't a duality anymore. I'm very grateful for all the transgender consciousness that's streaming in, because sexuality should be always seen as a continuum, like a circle. Everybody fits in. Everybody has a place. Male and female may be on two sides of that circle, but then there's all kinds of the lesbians, the butchy lesbians, the femi-butchy lesbians, the TS people, the post-op, the no-op, whatever. It is a continuum. It's a circle, and we should not be in competition with each other, because there is no point. There should be no animosity against each other, because there's no payoff on that either. So they finally came into the middle of the sub-age of Aquarius, when we actually perceive our humanness that is sacred, our humanness that evolved. And how wonderful is that? I mean, how miraculous. We're the only animals who can create our own climate. And of course, we messed up the climate that we were given.
That's another story.
But you know what I mean. I mean,
Yeah.
it is what is very, that allowed us this evolution, that we actually create our own climate in our houses. Mm-hmm. And we can live under any climate. And that's amazing and sort of praiseworthy as evolution goes. But now we woke up to the other one. Oh, we inherited something and now it's not working anymore. Oops, we cannot take it for granted. Oops. All this is going to keep rolling on, and more awareness will be streaming in. And I hope we catch on to the fact that we have to keep the numbers down. Women must have choice, because otherwise we overpopulate the world with unhappy, poor people.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
We don't need that. There's no need for that.
And the other thing is that I should say to you that, Z, that was the best description on how or why do you get, or oftentimes people ask me, why do you get skyclad? Why is that? I mean, why is that? Is that well, first of all, this was the best explanation of skyclad, or being naked, or being stripped of your clothes, so that you can be human. Exactly. It's exactly that.
Otherwise, you are covered with your century,
Yes.
with your status,
Yeah.
with your how much money you have,
Absolutely.
your class. You take it all away. And another thing about the skyclad worship is that it's a proof that you are free, which
Exactly.
is demanded. The goddess demands that we insist to be free.
Free. Yes.
Free, which means that you are not going to get killed for showing a tit. You're not going to get killed for showing the humanness in a safe and civilized way. And something about it is very pure, something very pure. It feels like home more than anything else. Mm-hmm. It doesn't feel like sexually exciting, even though I'm gay and I love to see the human form, especially women. But it's not arousing to me. It's nothing sexual. We are all there souls in the manifestation we got from the goddess. And this is sacred and it's worship.
Absolutely.
And we celebrate that,
Yes,
Yeah. And all people can do that in their own circles. I'm glad you noticed that, because, the Christians like to turn it upside down. Oh, what could be going on there? Oh. Nothing. We have nothing. We bless each other and we feel good. We feel good and we are free.
Exactly.
For a few hours, we are free.
Exactly.
And we need your approval for it.
And
we don't need
it's sacred, Z. It's sacred. It's how we worship. It's sacred. And it's for us, it's sacred. And it's the way we worship. And it's something that it's so, it's as you said, it's not sexual at all. It's absolutely, it's sacredness. And you were saying, there is this, very, very sacred thing about it. I would add also beauty onto that.
Yes.
Even if people don't feel beauty, I would add that, because I think that it's very important that we are and recognize the beauty around us, and we be not afraid of that beauty, because that's where things get wrong, is to be afraid of beauty. Don't be afraid of beauty. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Just love it. You know what I mean? And that's the biggest thing, I think. That's the biggest thing about Skyclad. It's to embrace beauty. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter.
And also variety. to accept variety as natural.
Yes, absolutely.
And any artificial standards for beauty or ugliness are just people making it up to make money off you.
Absolutely.
That is the real reason. Women pay billions of dollars into the cosmetic industry that does nothing for us. They all promise, even they will protect us against the wind. But when we walk on the street, nobody's protecting us against the mugger. Great. But the cosmetics promise you what you want to have in your civilization, but you don't. Yeah. And if you put this cream on, you will be, it removes the wrinkles or any sign that you lived before in this body. Because we remove every sign. You'd be like, no wrinkles, no lines, nothing. You are just born.
You're a baby. You regress.
Ridiculous. Who wants to be like that? I like my face with my lines. I love my face. As it turns more cronish, and I think especially women who think they are too fat, or I've got too big boobs, or I've got this, and they have to get over it. All of it is beautiful if it's healthy. You kept your lifestyle healthy. You're healthy. You're totally beautiful. Absolutely. If you're ill, you're still beautiful. Nothing about the human body that is sinful. That was a projection by a new religion that wanted to upset the old religion that worshipped the naked body and worshipped nature and all natural things, and did not worship a dead man on a dead cross. Absolutely. Which is what they are doing now.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And it's Mary Daly's line. I have to give her credit.
Absolutely. No, that's fine. That's fine.
Dead dude on the dead wood.
Now, tell me one thing. I know that you don't have... And we talked about this in the other interview that we did a long time ago, about this, that you don't have any problem whatsoever to curse anybody. I mean, anybody that it's justifiable to curse. So, and you have this incredible story about the cursing of this rapists in the middle of this park. What are your visions about this? Do we have the right to do it? What can we do about this? What is it?
Okay, I have done it. I have done this 3 times. I always do it in a large group, and it always has to be either rapists or murderers. I don't hex for any other reason, because people will have bad qualities. You cannot. I don't enjoy hexing, but every so often, the last time here in my neighborhood, I can see Richmond, and a woman was coming home from work in her car, and it was raining and it was cold, and she had one of those little rainbow stickers on her car. So 4 guys decided that she was gay, and it was a woman, so they made her into a rape victim. They dragged her out of her car, beat her, all 4 of them raped her with stuff, and just left her dead, actually. In the water. And I thought, I'm the witch in this area. It's my job to make a fuss about this, because this shall be punished. And I called together the women, and you'd be surprised how many of them are afraid to defend themselves.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Well, the dead guys can come over to Oakland and do it here. I mean, for heaven's sakes, how close does male violence have to get for you to put your witch on? How close does it have to get? How coward can you be? I mean, Hungarians are not cowards, so, it's a big pride to me that I'm brave. I am brave. I have a lot of courage. And I called together the women. Well, I've got 12 women and 1 guy, because guys get beat up for the same reason. They get, and it's a hate crime. So I got them out in the middle of the daytime, not even nighttime, in a secret circle. We have the Indians, bless them. They create nice little spaces that I borrow on occasion, and this is in the Cesar Chavez Park, a nice stone circle. And we brought out our images of Lady of Guadalupe. That's the goddess in these parts. She is the queen of all America, she said, and her veneration is huge. More south you go, Lady of Guadalupe is looking at you everywhere. So we made prints of it and put it on our faces, And I just created a spell where we cut their luck. See, I attack criminals by cutting their luck, because you have to be lucky to get away with things when you are a criminal. And I cut that off, and that works. And I used all kinds of groovy incenses to help it go across to the ether and find the proper spirits. And I said literally, and it's on tape, I don't know if you ever saw it, we put it up on my website for a while.
I have to see it, yes.
Yeah, by your own flaws, by your own mistakes, by your own hubris, you will bring yourself down. I talked to the spirit in that person who is probably very unhappy. The spirit is all divine in everyone, but they don't get their way all the time. So I said, you spirit, you bring these people down. And then I added to it, your own mother will give you up. Your own sister will give you up. The very earth will give you up. You have nowhere to hide. And in 4 days, to the letter, everything came to pass. In 4 days, 4 guys were in prison. And yes, I said, the weakest will talk. And it was. They used some very young boys in this. There was a 27-year-old, and there were a 15 and a 14-year-old, and one 21-year-old or something. And they did this crime in front of these children, and one of the children told mama. And the mama then blew up and took the kid by the ear and dragged him to the police, and then the little one gave away everybody. They couldn't find the oldest one. That took 4 days to find, but finally he also gave himself up because there was nowhere to hide. He couldn't go to relatives. Everybody turned him away. And it was all over the media. I use the media when I do something like this. I'm not a witch who is ashamed of defending my safety. I'm not going to be ashamed of that.
No, absolutely.
And then other women in other cities picked up on this, and they also performed it when it was needed in their neighborhood, and they were successful. So I thought, what if annually the entire country, just once, would do a blanket spell against violence against women and children and anybody, just against violence? And how big wave could we make with that? How much would that come through? I think it would come through. Because the goddess doesn't want her women to be raped like this. And that woman just barely made it. She lost her job. She lost her life. She has all kinds of illnesses. I mean, the brutality of the rape was horrendous. Mm. And then on top of it, how those 2 youngsters must feel for the rest of their life, because they're all in jail. And there was no trial. They just went to jail and got sentenced, and that's where they are.
That's very good, very good. Now, see, we talked on the last show that we did together. We talked about tarot and how you were arrested, and that amazing story about your arrestment. For reading cards and for doing. First of all, I want to ask you: is it what is it the divination arts in traditional Hungary, witchcraft? Do you use cards? Do you use water? Do you use the river? What do you use in your country of origin?
To tell fortunes? Yeah,
yes.
To tell fortunes, they use the gypsy deck. The gypsy deck is only 28 faces. You don't know what happens between, oh, she's crying, oh, now she's happy. What happened in between? There's no transition. There is no segue. And there is no philosophy in the gypsy cards. But they do nail it. Usually the questions that are asked are not too philosophical. So they do nail it on that one. I don't know how much the tarot entered the consciousness of the fortune tellers in my country. They are not all really good. I was told at one time when I was looking at gypsies, and gypsies, are not Hungarians. They live with us for hundreds of years, but they are all blacks of Europe. They are living in everybody's country, and they are actually from southern India.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And they were very poor. And I went to see them, and I said, who can fortune tell here? And they said, oh, not me, go to Amanda. I thought, oh, great, they have one. Let's go see Amanda. Amanda proceeded to tell me that I'm going to have twins. I said, lady, I already had my children. I'm a gay person now. There's no chance I'm going to have twins. So why don't we reshuffle and do the right thing? She was stumped. There was nothing she could do for me because it was not real. Her job was to blah me up and down the yin yang. And most women, she thought, want to have twins, so she gave me twins. And a nice man to marry, so she gave me a man to marry. And then my best friend, who was my lover, also got her reading, and she got like 3 children and a daughter and some. So I said, Amanda, please do. I do this as a profession. I read cards for people. You shouldn't.
Just stop.
And she says, yeah, she knows she's sorry about that. I paid her anyway.
Oh, that was generous.
I paid her anyway because it's not about, I'm not going to punish her for doing the only thing she could do.
Yeah, that's true.
And then they were all poor. They made money from making mud bricks. And it was a hard life. She lived in a little tent. So, but I had to tell her that this is not it. This is not how you do it. And there are more to it than your gypsy deck. And of course, that's all she had. They're very good on palmistry.
Oh, yes, they are. Yes.
Don't fly on them. For you show your hand, they know a lot immediately. In fact, when they shake hands with you, they turn over your palm just to see who you are. I like that.
Hey, that's very good. That's very good. I know.
My mother could also read palms. She was very good, but you know what she had, what I wish I had? She got stories. She would look at you and know where you've been, where you're going, what's the name, what is the reason that you're going to where you're going. And she only used it for getting seats on the bus.
That's very good.
She would be riding the bus and would get a little tired, and she would see a guy with a nice seat and say, looked at him a while, and then she would just say, don't worry, your daughter will be fine after the operation, not to worry. The guy would jump out of his seat. Madam, please, sit down. Did you know it? Everybody gets out of their seats. Here, madam, and mommy would just find us there. That's what I sit down to. Me too, me next. Mother says, that was all that came in.
That's amazing.
But she would know your story. It was eerie. I watched her do that once. It was just eerie. And the way she decided what to use it for. She made her money by being an artist. Yes. She had her own fortune teller who came in once a month, and she was the one who found her cancer. Wow. She did not use tarot. She didn't use any cards. She was like a natural psychic. They hold hands and sit with you with eyes closed. And she would say, you better have the left breast checked. And, it was just checked now. Now go again. And there it was, cancer. Wow. So many ways. And then the way we used to pay her was in some goods like flour or sugar, and then mother would stick like 24 forints into it or 40 forints. So when the woman is using it and cooking, suddenly the cash would fall out. That was only way allowed to pay a fortune teller, otherwise the good fortune will not be coming true.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm glad that in this country I do get paid when I give readings through PayPal.
It's true. And now that you talk about it, let's just see. If you go to the website, you can actually see that because you have. Let me just show this to people because I love to show these things. You can have a tarot reading here, and it's on Z's website. So if you go there, you just click on it, and then you will have a little video, a little thing, and then you will see everything, and then order a tarot reader here. So use this link to pay for your reading, and then Z will do it. So how does it work, Z? People can just, how do you need anything from them, or how do you?
I do. When I arrange the call and they call in, I need to know only their name, their sign, and how old they are. Because your age has a meaning. I wrote a whole book about it, Celestial Wisdom. that's discussing every age from 1 till 90. And each age has a meaning as we are maturing on the tree of life. And I combine that with the astrological happening. So there is a blueprint for life. There are important points, like there is a 3 years old, very important. Your spirit kicks in and she starts talking with your mouth and you say the so-called darnest things because that's pure innocence that comes out and observation. 7, when you want to be spiritual and you get some kind of initiation into some, and the Catholics still do the first communion at 7 for kids. That's keeping in line with the Athenian belief that that's where you initiate little girls and little boys. And then it's lots of sexual curve and mental curve and everything culminates at 21. So you don't really have yourself till you are 21. So whatever you do in this area, you don't have your whole pack of cards in your hands. And after 21, you do. So I tell people to slow down at 21, take time to find out what got in. Who am I now? That's a good time to get readings. And then anytime when you want to marry somebody or fall in love, is it going to work? Is it not going to work? When you choose profession, it's a good time to have a reading. And then we typically do that till 30, and that's a first destiny. And the destinies are tied to the movement of Saturn, which takes 30 years to come around to the natal point. And that's the first lesson in life. And then they take a little wobbling time and segue between destinies. People get very insecure around 26, 27. They really worry. I'm almost 30 and I haven't done anything. Yes, you have. Yes, you have. You have put yourself together. You are fine. You know, that's what you're supposed to do. And then after 30, we are really intensely demand meaning in our life. Meaning, something that is your mission for the second destiny. And it doesn't really dawn on you till you are about 31, 32. At that point, it's good to keep your eyes open because it will be revealed to you. When you see it, you will get excited. There's something, a little heartbeat, a little, or you get scared, or you lose your breath. Oh, I didn't know that. So all these things are bringing you closer to find your mission. And then begin any place, anytime. Don't hesitate. Just start. Starting is doing.
I'm waiting for my age. You're never. Okay. I'm waiting for my age, and I'm thinking, okay, she's close. Okay, let's go.
Okay, so what around the 30s? The 30s is all the second destiny in different kinds of ways. You reach 40.
Here we go.
Now you have a little track. You know, you made a little track. You have tried yourself. You tried your talents, and now you see, that works better. So actually, there is from 40 till 45, it's trying out the new wisdom that you have learned from the 30s. But 45 is a big time. Gotta have a reading at 45. That's when you have a reversal. And everybody experiences it. It's either you do what you have been doing better in another way, or you just turn on your heels and do something totally different, and everything in between these two choices. And my favorite example to give you about it is Gauguin, who was a bank teller till 45.
Wow, I didn't know that.
He reached 25. He walked away from Paris, wife, children, bought a one ticket to Haiti, and came back as a big painter.
That's amazing.
So at 45, if you have not clued into your destiny, they will kick you in there.
That's very nice.
And then, what would I? You let me hear it. What would I?
What?
Yeah, what's your age?
40. You just said it.
40 is sit down and look back and pat yourself on the back.
Yeah.
Because you have clearly clued into your mission. You are a communicator. You are a teacher through communication. you are a spiritual person. I'm sure you can do other things too, like probably music or
I was an actor. I was a professional actor. And now I'm going to be a nurse. So it's a complete different...
Yes, it is. And may I say that you will have a better income.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Yes.
Nursing will never go out of...
No, unfortunately, yes.
Well,
that's
yeah.
true. That's
yes,
true.
and,
That's true.
we have to be taken down somehow.
Yeah.
So, yes, celestial wisdom had been very successful in a quiet way because you could track yourself in that book all the way till 90. If you live longer than 90, sorry.
Sorry, it's not covered on the book.
I only went till that time, and I take my hat off to you. I think you write your own book after that.
I think so too.
But those are good things, and I was glad to discover.
We're talking about which book? Let me just get that the book.
Celestial Wisdom.
Yes. So this is the one. Yeah. This is the one. Yeah.
I wrote it together with Diana Paxson.
Yes.
Diana Paxson, who is a sci-fi writer. Actually, I would classify her as a historical fantasy writer. Mm-hmm. But she's my dear friend, and that's one book we created together. Otherwise, she's my editor. Yeah. She edits everything I publish.
I just wanted to know which book was, because I wanted to show people as we speak, Z, because I wanted to see.
Yeah, it's a moon and the sun is on the cover.
Yes.
But Celestial Wisdom has been quietly the best book because it deals with year by year, and then we give suggestions for your birthday celebration. Due to the fact that, having the candles, blow out, eat, is such a pedestrian way to celebrate something like a whole year of your life. I mean, we have devised many different ways that's easy, and then it makes the party better because now we are all having sacred play, It should be a sacred play, the birthday party. It should not just be about the cake and getting high.
Of course. Now,
you get high afterwards.
Exactly. Celestial Wisdom, a wonderful book if you want to track yourself until 90. After that, you have to write your own book, according to Z. But at least, you can have... This is a very good thing because, Z, I want to tell people about this. Your readings are cheap. I mean, they're absolutely, anyone can get them. Only $75. I mean, you can get a tarot reading from Z. It's absolutely amazing, and you can get all the information. And just tell her your age, your name. What else, Z?
And what sign are you?
And the sign, and that's it. Yeah,
that's it.
And that's it. And then you can get it. It's absolutely amazing. And how long are you been doing this? Let just people know.
Sweetie, all my life. I started reading tarot at 24 when I decided that the gypsy deck had nothing for me. I just said, Mama, I give it back to you. I don't know what to do with it. And she said, okay. Yeah, you have to be very, very psychic to get anything out of it. And I'm very cerebral. I like the connections. I like the segues. I like the nuances. So, but I want to put out something else about my readings.
Go ahead.
They take as long as it takes. I don't like to attach too much, but people who hang on and don't want to get it, I do cut them off because that's not fair, Yeah. And the other thing is that I give a feminist tarot reading, very different from, you're going to meet a tall person next week and you're going to be happy. I'm not here to make you feel good. I'm here to help you change. Exactly. That is really how I see my priestess role in reading cards for people. I think I can tell you from your age where you are on your curve of life and what's supposed to be happening, what you're resisting. I can easily see that. And then I talk you into it and I give you ways to change. Ways that are simple, easy, and a little bit magical. They are not hard to do and they work. I teach you how to tend to your soul. I give you enough to go on. And I do not create dependency on me. I wish I could. I wish I would have more readings. People can call back and, 3 weeks went by. I need another reading. That doesn't happen here.
But what do you think that it's the length of time that would be justified to have another reading? I mean, if you have one now, like, what is it, 3 weeks, do you think?
No, 6 months.
6 months, okay.
I set you up for 6 months, three to 6 months. And if anything that throws you, that you are in doubt and it's important, you call back. However, I'm not massaging you as another.
Massaging your ego, yes.
You know, like, I'm not judging you up. I talk to you as an adult, and I do it as a sister, lovingly. But I'm not going to lie to you. I just won't lie. I simply refuse to lie, and I refuse to spin. Truth has to be part of my work. It has to be truthful, or it's no good. And I cannot really give you a story. I got very poor because everybody in America got very poor. Less and less book sales, etc. I signed up to be part of a psychic network in England. And I was available, and I got calls, tons of calls. And they all asked the same thing over and over again. Will I meet somebody? Will I meet somebody? And there was this gnawing big loneliness, which comes from thinking that you are not enough for yourself. Yes, we can get lonely, and women very much want to be partnered. But that's not the only thing that gives you value. And that was almost impossible for me to communicate to my English sisters. They all wanted the zhuzhing. They all wanted the fluffing. And I told them, after 3 times, please look again. Maybe now you will see something, that I meet somebody soon. And I said, no, I won't. I will not. And that was the time I decided I fire myself from the psychic network. I'm totally incapable of doing the commercial tarot readings, which is like, oh, yes, what do you want? Oh, you're going to get that. I think lying, when people open their souls to you and lying to you about happiness, is not a service, it's a disservice. It's really a crime.
It is.
To mislead people. And then, you know what happened? My cards would not talk to me. The cards got angry at me. My cards have a personality, and they would give me nothing. And when I got to that, I said, that's it, lady, you're the last person. I'm sorry, I cannot help you. Please find somebody else. Blessed be.
Oh my God. Well, that's the thing. I always was taught that if you lie, or if you don't tell the truth to the person, the cards won't speak to you anymore. It would cease to, speak to you, and that's how it goes. And when I do that, I just don't want it. Now we have to jump to another thing very, very quickly, because I want to end the interview, but I want to talk about the Goddess College, and I want to talk about the Susan B. Anthony Coven #1, which was actually revived, and so tell us about this, the Goddess College. How does it work? Where is it for? What does it do? And also about this the Coven #1. Tell us about that.
Well, we revived the Susan B. Anthony Coven #1 because it should be revived, and because I visited Susan B. Anthony's house, and her spirit is in it.
Yes.
I met her spirit. Her spirit is in it. And right now it's a membership. And we have every 2 years a big festival where we do live, gorgeous rituals in an actual Greek theater kind of thing in California. Can you imagine?
Wow.
So, deep well, good acoustics. It's called an Earthborn, and the Native Americans built it, and that's where I hold my festivals, because that's a real temple. Mm-hmm. That's the temple. Mm-hmm. And there you see us. We put you to work doing this and that. We check you out personally, and the Coven also is asked to do online work for us. Sometimes we are attacked, and we say, "Hey, Melinda, you haven't yet used your strength in this direction. How about you write the rebuttals to this? How about you send letters to that mean letter? So we just sort of distribute the trouble and have them practice it on that.
Yeah.
But it's not like it was back in the days when we met every 6 weeks, of course, and we did all the Sabbaths and the full moons. It was 21 celebrations in a year, and it was outdoors, and I was there. And this one, I couldn't be there because we are everywhere, but we connected through online. And we try to create more and more events where everybody can come and meet each other, meet the other Coven members. And if they have a specialty, we like them to start teaching it. And we put them to work like that, help them develop. Not all of them are interested in becoming priestesses. Some of them just want to be part of it, as a historical fact. And everybody fits, everybody can belong. It's just a $50 membership a year, which helps us out. And the college itself is teaching the curriculum. We have called now a lot of books that are well worth reading and studying from that are not out there anymore. I rescued books that I learned from when I was 30 years old. We have, of course, Merlin Stone's books are number one that we recommend people read. And yes, you can read yourself into a consciousness. We give you a series of materials to go through, and if you absorb that, you can communicate with each other online about it, discuss it with the teachers, but they have to be absorbed. I cannot send you a pill and you would take the pill and your consciousness be there if you had read 6 books. It won't be.
Yeah.
You have to put in a little elbow grease, and you have to put down your iPod and read online these books, or get it in a real. But we give them a way to absorb all this, meet in person, and it's in development. The college is in development. I just got my doctorate of divinity, and we are...
Congratulations, Z.
At last, fine. The topic I have invented, I finally got a degree in.
Oh, that's exactly. Which is very ironic. Very ironic.
At the same time, it's so deeply funny. I don't even worry.
I know. Oh, God.
So it is in development. We are not quite finished, but we are teaching. We are teaching what we got, and eventually we're going to be able to give degrees out.
That's great.
We'll be able to award degrees. It's not there yet.
That's
but
very, very good. That's great. That's great.
Cool.
Yeah. No, I wanted to know about that. So, ladies and gentlemen, Z Budapest, an elder, a Wiccan, a priestess, a psychic, a tarot reader, and a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful woman that I love very much, and that I have the most amazing consideration for, because this woman did so much for us, all of us, and she needs our support. So if you go to her website, see if you read the books. You didn't read the books, order them, buy them. Go to the DVDs. You can just have the DVDs for discussions. It's a wonderful thing. Go there. Do you need advice? Just call Z or request a tarot reading. So these are the ways that we can actually help and support Z on her work that she's still doing. It's amazing. How long was that? I mean, since your whole life, okay? It was the whole...
24. I started reading tarot 24. I was 24 years old.
Yeah.
And I really fell in love with Pamela Smith Cole's art on the way deck. I still think she's superior. I've seen lots of other decks. I think many times the artists is so inspired by what can be shown that she wants to show her own art.
Mm-hmm.
But as a reader, I don't care about how good artists you are. Give me the symbols. Don't take away the symbols. I need them.
Yes.
I flash on the symbols and things come into my mind. How great artist you are. I see it from one card and I can tell how great you are. But each card has symbols for me that Pamela faithfully put them in for me. And so I keep reading her images.
That's great. That's great. I just love it. Well, Z, thank you so much for being
Blessed.
here with us. Thank you so much for accepting this
Blessed be on
invitation.
everyone, and shout out to everybody new who I haven't met yet. Blessed be, and have a good life, and take care of yourself, and be kind to yourself. You kiss your own hand like this. We are all divine.
Z, blessed be, and don't go anywhere because I'm going to talk to you a little bit in a while. Okay, just don't go anywhere. Okay, I'm just going to close the show and then we'll talk a little bit. Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Blessed be.
Blessed be.
Bye.
Bye. So this is it. This is the end of the show. Thank you everyone in the chat room for being here with us and with Z. We'll coming back next week with another exciting guest. Until then, have a wonderful, wonderful week. Bye bye.